What's up everybody, it's Wendy with BikesOnline, and I'm out here on the Polygon Tambora, a bike that's designed to be just as capable on the road as it is out here in the gravel. While the Tambora actually comes in a whopping 4 different models, we're out here on the alloy frame base model, the G4. Today, we're getting to compare the G4 with its carbon fiber sibling, the G5, and see what we find out along the way. Spoiler alert, there might be some big surprises. Let's kick things off talking about how these two bikes are similar and different on paper, and then we'll hit the trail and do some back-to-back testing to see how that actually affects the riding experience. By far, the most intriguing thing about the Tambora are the flip chips, located in the dropouts, that let you seamlessly switch from fast and agile road geometry to a more stable and relaxed gravel option. One of the biggest areas in which these bikes differ, though, is in frame material. The G4 is built using Polygon's ALX aluminum tubing, whereas the G5 gets a top-tier carbon fiber frame. This puts the weight of my size small G5 at just 23 pounds, or 10.4 kilograms, a whopping 2.5 pounds lighter than the G4. Lastly, the G5's carbon fiber frame has integrated front derailleur mounts, should you choose to lean even further into the high-speed world of road riding. Most of the components on the G4 and the G5 are actually identical, but there are some noteworthy spec differences that we need to touch on real quick. The G4 comes with a Microshift Advent X 10-speed drivetrain. Surprisingly, this actually has a wider gear range than the SRAM Apex 11-speed drivetrain on the G5. This should, in theory, make steep climbs a bit easier on the G4, and we'll find out shortly if that proves to be the case. Another difference is the brakes. The G4 gets a pair of Tektro mechanical disc brakes, while the G5 gets upgraded to a set of mechanically activated hydraulic brakes from TRP, which should provide a lot better braking power and control. But that all said, I'm just excited to compare these two out on the trail, and that just so happens to be what we're about to do. I'll be taking turns on each bike on a 3-mile gravel course that consists of manicured gravel roads, rutted Jeep tracks, and single-track trails. In the end, we'll see which bike manages to put down a faster time, as well as how the various component and frame differences I mentioned earlier actually affect my experience on the bike. So without further ado, I'm going to take my own advice and go out there and get ripping. All right, we're kicking it off, my first test loop on the G4, starting right out with the hill, so I'm getting to really see the gear range. Like we mentioned, G4 has actually a wider gear range. So I'm in my biggest cog right now, feels good. Making it up this hill, no problem. Just a little deep breathing. The Microshift Advent X actually shifts really nice, smooth. All right, here's some single track action. Phew! See how it goes. My true love is mountain biking, but honestly, I've had so much fun on these gravel bikes. The Tambora is a blast, and it just changes the game. Woo! Now, actually, both the G4 and the G5 are compatible with the dropper post. If you are coming from mountain biking and you're used to being able to get that seat out of the way, that's all preferential as well. And maybe you're coming from road biking and you're like, dang, no way I'm needing that. Now that we're coming to a little more descendy section, I think it's important to talk about the brakes here. So we've got mechanical disc brakes on the G4 I'm currently on. They're feeling good so far. I am really looking forward to trying out the G5 because of the hydraulic brakes and really seeing what the difference is there. I've hit a couple rocks that just kind of, obstacles on the trail and haven't felt too scattered yet. It really hasn't pushed me off or made me feel like I was gonna fall. That's kind of a myth I had deep in my mind, a misconception of what gravel biking would be like. I'm like, every tiny route, you're just, eating dirt. But that has not been the case. And it's so much more efficient. You can just get out here and go for miles and miles and miles. All right, so we're gonna come up here in a second on the most techie part on this trail. All right. Oh, crap. Okay, I'm not used to this. Oh, all right. Doesn't feel quite the same. I gotta be a little bit more careful with my line choice here than I usually am. Oh, That was more just me feeling like, oh, I don't want to crash on these rocks. All right, a little muddier than I remember. I gotta say, maybe tech is not what you want, but a little bit of flow. A little bit like blue flow. Heck yeah. Now we're talking. Ew. These little bumps, super fun to just send. The bike is so agile. It's fun. It's like riding the dirt jumper. All right, we are now on the G5, lap 2. And actually it's funny, immediately there's like these little road bumps here that on the G4 I was just bouncing up and down. But on the G5, it feels like I'm on some full suspension bike or something where I can't really feel them as much. Definitely a lot of dampening, and that could come directly from the carbon fiber frame. That's probably exactly what that is. So the range of gears on the G5 is actually a little narrower. So just did that same little hill climb, and I will say I didn't feel like I really needed, you know, a wider range. So because the G5 is also about 2.5 pounds lighter than the G4, that could be why I don't fully need a wider range of gears. The narrower set is totally does the job. All right, we are back on the single track, which I feel like I'm gonna be able to notice the biggest differences here. Yeah, I really do feel like just the overall ride quality feels so much better. You know, I'm not feeling every tiny bump like I was a little more on the G4. Ew. Woo. I think the other thing that will be very easy to distinguish between is the mechanical brakes on the G4 versus these hydraulic beauties on the G5, which already come into handy. Just feel stronger, just give that, you know, you just feel that security a little more, so you can send it a little more. Here we go. All right, it's all about line choice through here. That felt a lot more secure though. Phew. There's this section through here that I got a little squirrely though. I'm gonna take a high line. Oh no! Same rock that got me. Well, once again, I don't strongly recommend hitting super techy rocky gnar on the gravel bike, but you know, to each their own. All right, so lap 2 done and dusted on the G5, and it turns out the G5 was actually 2 minutes faster, which, you know, I mean, there could be a little bit of that. It was the second lap of the day, so it could be some of that calculated into that. But overall, I do feel like the ride quality, you know, like less on the bumps, it was a lot smoother in my descents. So I do feel like knocking off some of that time was just natural on the G5. And speaking about a little more technical descents, if you're looking to do a lot of single track or more trail riding on your gravel bike, then you should check out the Bend R7. The R7's mountain bike inspired geometry and components are perfect for rough fire roads and single track mountain bike trails. But if you're looking for a more road oriented bike straight out of the box, check out the Path X4, which features a 2x drivetrain and faster rolling 35C tires. But if speed and versatility is the name of the game, then I can't think of a better bike than the Polygon Tambora. And don't forget about the integrated flip chips that turn the bike from a gravel bike like I had set up today into an equally competent road bike. Now, if there's something I didn't cover that you have a question about, feel free to drop a comment below and let me know which bike you choose. And while you're down there, like and subscribe to BikesOnline channel where I'll be hanging out. After you do that, go out there and get ripping.